What's up and welcome to the channel. My name is Hagshot and thank you for joining us. Today I want to go over my top 5 2020 election firearms. And these are guns that have been, some of them been hot pretty much all year because of COVID and civil unrest and things like that. And today I want to tell you what I think the top 5 guns are for this election year. And election years have a specific, they just have a kind of feel to them that can be uneasy sometimes, nervous, excited, all of these kinds of things all wrapped up in one. And you know what's interesting is, like, the past couple months I haven't heard a lot about the Second Amendment and guns and things like that, but I can assure you they are on the ballot. And if you ask me who I'm going to vote for, I'm going to tell you I'm going to side with the candidate that I think is going to protect that right and liberty for all Americans. That's how I'm going to go. Okay, I think there's a clear candidate for that, and there's one for the other. And you can do with that information whatever you wish, but I think it's pretty clear after, since COVID and civil unrest, and every time firearms are kind of brought up in election cycles and all this kind of stuff, I think it's pretty clear that we can debate a lot of ideas, but the Second Amendment is not really ever up for debate. Most Americans, I feel, want that right to self-protection for good reason. And this is what's cool about what we do, is because there's no racial lines or gender lines or any kind of lines there. This is an American right, okay? So that's why it's so diverse when you look at firearms and firearm ownership. And when these things are brought up, believe me, this is on the ballot this year. And like I said, that the Second Amendment is extremely, extremely important to us. And I'm going to vote for whoever, protects that right and our liberties. So there you go. There's that. Let's talk about the darling of election years and generally other times, the AR-15. This gun has been out for a very long time. Since the 60s, this firearm has been out. And you know what makes this different from a standard semi-automatic like a M1 carbine or M1 Garand? Not much, just the aesthetics. That's literally it. So one pull of the trigger gets one round delivered out the end of the barrel. It just has features that make it look more futuristic, if you will. These sights that flip up and a Picatinny rail and things like that. Attachments you can put lights and all that kind of stuff on. But essentially, this is a semi-automatic rifle. And really, when anybody classifies this type of gun as an assault weapon, assault weapons are generally classified as guns that can be able to shoot fully automatic and semi-automatic. This gun is not one of those. You have to have very special licensing to get guns like that. And most Americans have a standard AR-15 that is semi-automatic only. Just to throw it in the same kind of mix with this, all these guns have been safety checked too, by the way. The AK-47, it was introduced in 1947. Been out for a very long time. Some cool features on him, but again, it's a semi-automatic rifle. So yeah, the AR-15, it gets a ton of press and negative press, and it's always like a hot election year type of thing. At least this is the second presidential election that we've been a part of, and it's been a hot topic since we've been into firearms. And it's unfortunate because it's such a great home defense tool and training tool and range tool and self-defense tool. It gets, like I said, a lot of press. It's used in a very small percentage of crimes here in America used with guns. And it's a tool, and it's a really awesome tool when it's used for its intended purposes in the hands of good guys with guns. So there you go, the AR-15, the AK-47, they always get negative press. Let's go to the next one, and you may have noticed 9mm pistols and 9mm ammo this year have been either impossible to find, or just prices have been 2 and 3 times what they normally are just in January. When you think about this, how wild is this? That just last December, January, into February, you could find 9mm and 9mm pistols all over the place. And then all of a sudden, the gun industry starts booming. And this should say a lot to politicians out there, because when you start to see civil unrest, when you're going into election years where there's a lot of uncertainty, Americans make it known that they want the right to protect themselves. And 9mm handguns specifically are great because that allows you to, obviously for law-abiding citizens, keep it in your truck, or whatever the case may be. Whatever your state allows you to do, as far as carrying a 9mm, these are just great all-around guns for that, the range, home defense, all of that kind of stuff. So that's been a hot 2020 gun as well. What about self-defense pistols? These have been hot as well, and we've noticed a huge surge in people getting their concealed weapons permits, or at least a lot of people at least telling me, you know, getting their concealed weapons permits, and first-time gun owners, and people wanting to protect themselves wherever they go, and that's a great thing. So self-defense firearms, concealed carry specific firearms have been super hot this year. This happens to be a P365 XL, but everywhere across the spectrum, all different types of concealed carry guns being sold. And again, that's another hot one for the year. Let me bring another pistol over here. This is a KP9, and this one is actually a pistol as well. So you may be thinking, how is this a pistol and that's a pistol? Well, the ATF classifies this as a pistol because it's under a certain length, and this is a brace. And because of this brace, and because what the ATF is doing or trying to do with this brace now, this has been a hot gun for pretty much all year since we've had these braces, the past couple years, I guess I should say. But really, these things are starting to heat up because people are like, hey, if the ATF is going to try and take it away, I'm going to get a gun that has this, which is unfortunate because these things just make these guns so much more controllable and better range guns, better home defense guns. This is a KP9. We haven't done a review on this yet, but man, this thing is so great, and cannot wait to do a review on it. But that's another hot one for the year. The last thing I'm going to talk about is anything that's chambered really in 5.56 that's not an AR-15. This was my really our first rifle purchase for the channel in 2016, when I was really nervous about that election and I didn't know if these firearms would be around depending on who got elected. But you know, these guns, again, they have a lot of cool features. To people that aren't into firearms, they may say it looks too scary or whatever the case is. If you don't know what it is, you don't know. But what you should know is that it's a semi-automatic rifle that has a really short overall length, that is really awesome for home defense if you're sensitive to recoil or whatever the case may be. This is a life and liberty type of gun, just like the rest of the guns you've seen. These can be used to save your life, and it doesn't matter what the exterior looks like. What's going on the inside is the same for every single gun you just saw. One pull of the trigger delivers one round out the end of the barrel. What that means is that America is still the place where we have the right to buy firearms like this for enjoyment, for self-defense, for home defense, to protect your family and your life. And guns like this are on the ballot, again, like I said. So, well, what do we have to do now? We got to get out there and vote, man. You know, you have to get out there. You got to vote. Stand in line. I think it's going to be 38 degrees. And I'm here in the South, so, you know, my blood isn't as thin as Mrs. Headshot's for sure, but it's going to be cold, and we're going to stand out there. And I don't, if it's 2 hours, if it's 3 hours, I hope it's not, but whatever it's going to be, man, we're going to stand out there. We all got to get out there and vote. Polls are open all day, so let's do it, man. A lot of things on the ballot this year. But hey, if I see you out there, come up, say hi. Maybe we can take a picture together, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.